The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Welcome to the June 2025 edition of For the Love of Words. Today's poet is Ed Gaudet. Ed is a poet and cybersecurity software entrepreneur from Hanover, Massachusetts. His poetry has appeared in Southwest Review, Journal of American Medical Association, The Fourth River, Bodega Magazine, Panoply, Blood and Bourbon, Burning Word Literary Journal, The Inflectionist Review, Nantucket River Review, Massachusetts Bard's Poetry Review 2024, and Book of Matches Lit. His poems are equal parts cinematic, wounded, whimsical, and wickedly funny. A recent Baldrige Foundation Leadership Award recipient, Ed also hosts the popular Risk Never Sleeps podcast and is a frequent writer for Forbes magazine. It is our pleasure to welcome Ed Gaudet.
Thank you, John.
So, Ed, I usually start the interview by asking the poet, what brought you to poetry?
Oh, wow. How much time do we have? Yeah. So, music, really. The Doors, Jim Morrison,
Okay.
Prolific poet himself. And that became a portal into a whole other world. William Blake,
Yeah.
the beat writers, the Beat Generation writers, Ginsberg, Bukowski, Ferlinghetti,
Yep.
Kerouac, right?
Yep.
And just it goes on and then on. And again, back to music with the Grateful Dead and the poetics of Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia.
So when did you start writing poetry? How old were you?
You know,
when
I
you
was
started?
thinking about that because I thought this would be a question you'd ask. And I've been writing all of my life. So I think I started writing in the second grade. So what is that, 8 years old, I think.
Okay. What were you writing then? Poetry or
Well,
fiction? Or?
I think the assignment, if I recall, was it was a short story that we read, and we had to finish the short story in a different way. And I remember the response of my teacher was very complimentary, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm a writer. I mean, I'm in second grade, so I'm not doing too much introspection at the time, but
Right.
yeah. And then I just I got into I've always been a voracious reader ever since I can remember. I found comfort and solace in books versus going outside and dealing with the bullies.
Well, let me rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Roughly when, how old were you when you started to write poetry itself, when you focused on poetry?
I would say probably junior high.
Okay.
So would probably be 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Was your poetry sort of reflective of the of the musicians and the writers of those songs, such as Jim Morrison? Was that sort of how you began your finding your own style by copying theirs?
Yeah, I think so. I think William Blake and Morrison were the two
that's
that
right.
I used. Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience from Blake.
Yeah.
American Prayer was a recording that was published after he died, shortly after he died. So I committed a lot of those poems to memory. He also had his books of poetry that I read, over and over again. So yeah, I guess I probably picked up that style early on.
So when would you say you found your own niche?
Voice?
Yeah, your own voice. Right.
Ooh, oh man, that's a great question. Probably after I quit drinking and went sober, which was like 4 years ago, really. It was funny. I always thought that I needed to keep drinking in order for the writing to continue.
Right.
But when I look back at the writing, it's not as good as the writing that has come since over the last 4 years.
Okay.
So, and I think just having the confidence to tap into the feelings and represent them in a way that I think made sense at the time.
Well, seeing as how you brought up that particular time of your life, what was the trigger that got you away from that particular addiction?
Oh, from alcohol. I've always been a high-functioning alcoholic, and I think there's many lies we tell ourselves to stay, connected to the bottle. And I think, for me, it was I had a couple incidents, but nothing major, nothing life-threatening. But I fell and broke my ribs drinking, and that was sort of a wake-up call for me. That was
and as a result of that particular event, did you write a poem about it?
I did not, no, but I've written several poems about drinking.
Yeah.
Well, my parents were they put the fun in dysfunction, let's say.
Yeah.
They were a bit of ragers when it came to booze, and so you learn, children learn from their parents, and my parents made it look easy, effortlessly, for the most part. My father was this just boisterous, life of the party individual. And my mother had this, dark side to her when she drank. So this combination of these two, and learning, that you could be the life of the party through alcohol. Whereas, when you're growing up and you're a child, whether you become an extrovert at some point in your life, I think everyone's sort of introverted when we first start out, right?
Yeah.
And you learn to be extroverted. You learn maybe for various reasons, survival maybe, right? For me, learning how to tell jokes was a mechanism for dealing with a lot of the pain, but also surviving, connecting with friends otherwise that I wouldn't have connected with, because, I wasn't the most athletic child, John, growing up, if I have to put it all on the table.
Well, I wasn't asking those questions. We talked about the writers, the poets that influenced you.
Mm-hmm.
How about someone immediate in your life? And I mean, someone you sat down and talked with, a teacher, a professor. Was there anybody
absolutely
that influenced your writing?
Yeah, because
like
you get introduced to it early on. If you're lucky, like I was, and it's been a journey. It's been a life journey, and through music and through other poets and learning about poets and reading poets. But it wasn't until college that I really connected with poetry on a deeper level, more meaningful level. And it was a teacher, Ruth Lepson, who's a poet. She's local poet out of Cambridge. She taught at Bentley College at the time. It's Bentley University now, but she introduced me to a wonderful world of poetry that included my favorite poet, Robert Creeley, and that whole generation of modernists. And that sort of opened my eyes to, Creeley and to O'Hara and to Dorn and to, the list goes on and on. And I made it, my life's journey and I met Robert, Bob, when he was alive. I actually corresponded with Bob over email early on.
And you have those emails in a file folder.
I do,
or
yeah.
framed.
He was very gracious. I met, I met a lot of poets through that, through that connection with Ruth, Sonia Sanchez, names are escaping me right now, but all the big names in the Frank Bedard, Pinsky, of course, Robert Pinsky, Jory Graham. Just that.
Well, if I don't like to ask this question because it puts the poet on the spot, so to speak. But if there is an overall theme in the poetry you're writing now, what would you say it is?
That's a great question, because as I'm building a manuscript, I have to obviously coalesce around a theme. And my work is, it's varied. I've high functioning ADHD, so it takes, spans from the whimsical, the absurdity of life, if you will, trying to find humor in life's rich pageant. It deals with death, experiences around death and loss. It deals with relationships and some of the meaningful experiences that come when two people get together, and some of the painful experiences that come out of that as well.
Okay.
And then there's just a bunch of things that are just random, everything from, a lot of it's biographical, going back to, I don't want to call it trauma because I don't want to sound like a victim, but the experiences I went through as a child, really trying to capture those, Ted Berrigan is a. I mean, I'm obsessed with Berrigan and Oppum, George Oppum. But Berrigan wrote this, the Life Sonnets, this book, and I began a project to literally write a poem per year of my life. And some of them have been picked up already, which is great.
It's excellent.
Yeah, but I've only gotten to 1975, so 10 years old. But
well, I've had the pleasure of hearing you read.
No, thank you.
So I think the audience is going to be enthralled by listening to your words. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure. Okay, the first poem I'm going to read is from Southwest Review. It's called "The Closet Eater Takes to the Road." Divine walking menus line me up politely to order and pick a dipping sauce. These Christians have figured out the chicken sandwich. Body of crispness, pressure-cooked flesh, giving alms to the bun. This clandestine house of worship that makes first-time diners flip offers no parking. It's not even noon, yet the faithful line up around the corner and quickly purge onto a busy Washington Street looking for refuge. There's a spot further down the street, so I park on the right, which keeps me out of sight from a nosy neighbor or wife who would wonder why I'm eating fast food while fasting. I'm now waffled into a spot and unboxed a lot of morsels, host to lips, when in mid-bite, a seemingly new Mercedes E320 tears across lanes, lands right next to me. The driver shoots out, locks up, dashes over the curb, and heads toward Savor's thrift shop. If you happen to pass at this moment, you may spot us anxiously checking over our shoulders as if we were watching a tennis match at half court. Continuing on that theme of whimsy, this is called Holiday Poem. Dear family, I'm sorry that I got COVID. How rude of me to ruin Christmas. I hope you'll forgive me. Love, Dad. P.S. I'm feeling better, thanks for asking. I mentioned alcohol during my interview with John. This one's called Man Flu. I heard many years later that my wife would make excuses for me being laid up in bed after a night out. She'd tell the kids that I had the man flu. So man flu for Kate. The obligation to provide does not extend to writing, that you would tell our daughters he has the man flu. Those days when I couldn't get out of bed, cross hung over my head. Okay, this next poem is called After Biting the Dental Hygienist. Most fear public speaking or death. For me, it's the whine of the dental drill, but today is just the cleaning. Water pick like tool, she says. It's not new, but maybe for you, as I strain to keep my mouth wide for Mr. Thirsty, inserted to stop me from drowning, which happens to be the dental hygienist's greatest fear as she prospects water to earth, being buried alive, spiders, snakes, clowns, dolls. We cover them all with polish, porcelain shine, bubblegum tasting grit, whirling like a deck sander. Then she exclaims her birthday is the same as Mick Jagger's before corner palate tickle triggers bear trap, clenches down and closes on finger. And I have one of those, did I just bite your finger moments as she starts shaking but finishes flossing, forces me to spit, and then she quickly splits. Dr. Wolf comes in to check things out, says she'll learn to move her finger quicker next time. This one's called Field Dancing, and it's about a place on the Martha's Vineyard, my favorite place in the world. It's Field's Gallery. This poem is called Field Dancing. And it starts with an epigraph. It never occurred to me to actually get anywhere in life, by the sculptor Tom Malley out of West Tisbury, Martha's Vineyard. Field dancing. Imagine being married for 2 years, telling no one. and creating dance dreams sculpted from broken rules of mad love, radically glazed, eloped, and discreet. This is the birth of whim. Statuesque, sky-drenched, gallery of blue stem glow through coffee shadows of island sumac and swamp maple mist. Like stray politicians and alley dogs, tourists leak over from the general store to field dance, whirl and twirl beside the naked bodies. These white resin clouds mime voluptuous laughter. A caprice of forged fiberglass, epoxy, fountain white, and ready-made inflates to an obscene roundness with pressure from the ridiculous. This field makes no one listen, never occurs to get anywhere. Under lapis sky, this grassy meadow makes no one rich. Okay. All right, let's do a little death. This is a death poem, and I typically write about humorous things in my life and also death for some reason. This one is called The Diagnosis, and it appeared in the Journal of American Medical Association, or JAMA. The Diagnosis. When you hear the cancer doctor we just met read the biopsy results from your PET scan, the issues leading up to this moment, directly off an epic chart with precision, wonder, then pause before she delivers the news, asking you if you don't mind if she got to know you first, like a nervous date, counting the seconds to when the meal is over, spreading small talk, simple words, lung, chest, bones, until she reboots, starts talking faster, eyes wide, beautiful, using bigger words now. Atezolizumab, carboplatin, etoposide. But I can still tell that all you're thinking about is dinner and a piece of tiramisu. Okay. This poem was in Nix's Mate this past summer of 2024. It's called Big Sur. This poem has traveled a long way to you, over mountains of ragged doubt, through dense rose-blanketed briar, under foggy canopy of life kings, breathing out your name, splashing across Agabago river, dark forest. What is the meaning of love? Look, the condor soars, stretches out love's sighs for you. Dark forest, how does love grow? See fiddleheads unfold love's beauty to you. A coastal beauty? What is that? A bridge suspended in time that connects love's span over hairpin carved creek, over sky yellow sorrel, coltsfoot, over unseeable distance, and then climbing up the earth's face before dinner at the Post Ranch Inn. This is a poem I wrote to my wife when we first started dating out of school. And I found it as I was looking for some poems this weekend. It's called Dreams, to Diane, October 14th, 1987. You sit and drink tea, tightening your robe, you shiver. I wonder if, were we made for each other, like the butter blanketing your bagel, or the glasses that grip my face, or the milk which missed your cup. The dog believes so. This is a poem I just wrote for my daughter, who experienced a pretty traumatic breakup with a girlfriend. It's called The Breakup. She dropped off the last of it, the jacket, this morning, wrapped tightly in a plastic bag down by the mailbox, and you woke early, waiting for it, and it was already there, like she said it would be, like she said she would sew patches onto it of sunflower and lightning bolts and yellow sky and a head of bone and emptiness, like you'd be together forever, like the running wild of bright freedom and hands held by heart's variable beat, and dust light hovering on twin flowing manes over the curve of together bodies, wholly lost in the slow distance of severed reins, Like she said she needed time. You needed time. Like time needed you and her and space. A place, your place by the water, her place, which is not of either, but of waves and distance, of horizon and darkness, like the jacket you pull from the bag and place in the back corner of your closet. This is an Obad that I wrote to my wife. It's called Obad. Oh, babe, every morning, bathed in the rising warmth of night's regrets, we reset. Owing nothing to light, we owe everything to rain and scrub dry the wet. It's beginning again, the horror of new, a world of appearances awakens. Arms as long as rivers reach for breath. This is our special way of dying each day. Soon, the dogs will need to go outside, then eat. Turn on the TV, I'll make the coffee. This one is called, the clock's not moving. This one is called Poetry Reading. I'm going to read the one I just wrote. The one from Woodstock? Yes, I finished it this morning. Is that where you go when you don't respond? This one's called The Compromise of Marriage. Loved one said, what if I threw your clothes, night black skivvies, which are now touching mine out these windows? My dear, rebuffed, I see what you mean. I will gladly move my clothes out of your way, but stop. You're late with the bills being paid. My dear, love laughed. If it is true and between us no lies, the couch for you is my compromise. All right, this one's called Hadley's Harbor, which is a beautiful little harbor off the coast of Massachusetts, Cape Cod. Hadley's Harbor. It is not unlike many other coves on which perch no city doves. Sea-drenched, blanket of clove, fits horse's mouth like a glove. It's a place that lost in sound, osprey and egret cry as sunsets. Warm vineyard winds wind down, spills a blank pink blue on coromants. Sailboats placed by God's hand like chess pieces gently, precise, named Lestrega and final stand, tread ripples, impressions, sunrise. A mooring teases our tired bow to a dust-lit game of peekaboo, like Ricketson's Sons and Thoreau behind beaches white as a moon, which isn't out yet as night sets. We finish dinner on the boat quietly, so eastern screech frets not and rests in Tupelo Grove. Heaven's soup ladle slowly dips, etch-a-sketch satellites skip, past fishbowl stars, soft mall lights rise above Guncall Stall. If you listen closely, you can hear Wampanoag paddling mishuns, bringing back primitive fears past noble reeds in Huron blue. Searching for an end as lovely as this place, I read it to my mother-in-law with ease. Do you like the poem? Too lofty? I really like the poem Trees. Okay. This is a poem that I wrote after experiencing a miscarriage with my wife. My wife experienced a miscarriage. I was along for the ride here. It's called Still Lives. After your ultrasound's abrupt ending, I tried to catch the technician's words as they slowly spilled into the air through clenched teeth of a ventriloquist and organize them, starry night, puzzle pieces. Better, you, here, wait. Swirling watercolors of still lives dancing, almost beating like this computer cursor, a pixel firefly. And the nurse turns, leads us into the room with the still lives. Pale, matte, framed death. It's better that you wait here, stay here. I hear her say words, but her lips don't move. Nothing moves. Yet everything moves. Blackness like fog rolls over nursery. Guilt rips open earth's core, ignites every little thing lifted or drank or said or thought or written or not, since I do. I've got a couple here from, and by the way, that was in the Naugatuck River Review in the summer, fall of last year, 2024. These are a couple from Blood and Bourbon. This is a poem called Moment When I Decided to Stop Drinking. We watch videos of our chiral home. You laugh and cry. I cry laugh until my broken ribs remind me of having one too many. On the screen you smile back, unwrapping Christmas. I'm filming. Focus and hold so much beauty in a single frame. This is called Empty. This house, 1 million square miles small, these smiles, starlit candles on a pillow cloud cake, those books nodding stairs to great seas of whiteness, that crucifix hides a child's laughter, drowning out silent shadow. Is the age of suffering a hole or a door? I wrote a couple of ekphrastic poems recently. One appeared last year in the Visual Inverse booklet, which is an incredible piece of work published by the Plymouth Center for the Arts. And I was one of, I think, 20 or so poets and artists that appeared in this book. This is a poem called Old Pier at Sunset, and it was written in response to the photograph Old Pier at Sunrise by Steve Morrison of Orleans, Mass. Old Pier at Sunset. When you first see it there, you think road to nowhere, teeth of Enki waiting for Utu to paint sky justice. Queer order appears, county fair colors on vellum skin ocean. Sweet geometry spaces summer death. Did I find you? Or you find me? Emptiness is mourned from form, pegs the mad poet. These pagan markers petrify slowly. This ghostly bridge sees into life of things. Hopscotch innocence, piercing moon trauma. I am still waiting. I can't take much more. It's all about the sex these days, pile down the X. I never know these days if I'm coming or if I'm going. You know, by the dying. This poem I wrote after a friend had shown me a painting he did in the style of Gene Davis. It's called Signal Interrupted for Carter. The line is law before it is color. Straight, single signal flickers, interrupted at each edge of memory and wave. How one decides to fill space is a test of wave and form, a preordained ghost, line in constant transition like the self, fixed, yet moving to a new intensity and dominance. Red, yellow, and pink sink into a blueness of purple and electric green that whispers, this is the way. These seemingly equal widths beat a score of rhythm. Texture drifts mad, red and yellow, sideways crashing waves, which hold a dream of birch trees in winter. We're bookends of 20 intention or inspiration. These are the prayers of the blind. Magenta breathes into gold, like steel and fog laced with starlight. Color hums sequence between error and frame. Canvassed carnival, each stripe a sunset leaving. The sea's barcode cries. Light from the other stars mapped in spectral memory. The sky's barcode cries. Skittles, beach chairs, peonies, clotheslined lingerie. Hues have no rules. I'd like to thank John and ECAT for inviting me here and hosting my poetry and spending time with me. And I've enjoyed spending time with you today. Thank you.
I'm Priscilla Almquist Olsen, your host, and tonight we are have the pleasure of listening to some very interesting and eclectic music by one Christopher Steele, who shares some history with me. So, Christopher, welcome.
Well, thank you, Priscilla, and please call me Chris.
I will. I forgot.
It's been lovely getting to know you, even just over these past couple of minutes. Quite a bit of geography in common here, and maybe we know some people in common too, which is interesting.
Well, that could happen. But anyway, tell me, when you were growing up in Harrington Park, Bergen County, New Jersey, were you involved with music at all?
I was. So I come from a fairly athletic family, where all of my siblings were multiple letters in high school and things of that nature. I was not. I was the smart one. And along with that, just from a fairly early age, I started taking guitar lessons maybe about when I was 12 years old. I didn't care for the lessons very much, but as my friends around me really started to learn how to play, and quite frankly were more technically adept than I was, it really got me to, well, it motivated me to learn more about the structure of music and how to write songs and how to tell stories through music. At first, so that in fact they could not leave me out. But then, as it turns out, we ended up being, fairly successful, at least within our small community, for writing music and playing at parties and things of that nature. And
How old were you when you were writing music?
I think I started writing my first songs when I was maybe about 17, 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. And still, maybe one or two of those songs still hang out in my set every once in a while. Pretty well buried, but they're there.
So after high school, where did you go?
So after high school, I ended up going, first undergraduate to Rutgers and then graduate school to North Carolina, where I picked up my MAM and all that fun stuff. But after that, I continued to write, not perform as much, but songwriting is one of those things that once you get in the habit of doing it, it's one of the ways that your mind and that your heart and that your soul actually wants to try and make sense of things. So it ended up being something that was a little bit on the side, but it still ended up building a bit of a catalog and ideas that I've come back to many times over the years, and then really started to come back to songwriting and performing very seriously maybe about 10, 15 years ago.
So when you wrote these songs
Yes.
as a young man, 18, 20, 25, did you share them with anyone? Did anyone perform your songs?
I did with my band.
Oh, okay. So you had a band.
So we had a band. We had a little band called Tunnel 18, where we would mostly play parties and things of that nature. And we had a couple of people locally that would know our songs and make some requests. But then that went away pretty quickly. We were young. It was the 80s. We didn't really have any money to do recording per se. So you just kind of set a tape recorder out either in the basement where we would be practicing, or in the middle of the yard as we were playing for a party. And those are the only records that really exist for that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a shame. But I'm sure you've had opportunities to record since then.
Many, many. So I actually, just in the past several years, I have put out 3 full-length albums as well as an EP since about 2015.
Wonderful. And what are the names of the albums?
So the first album that I put out, I was still uncertain of things. So I actually, I created a fictitious band name called Stealing Time, Steeling Time, and put out an album called Time in Motion. It was really kind of picking up from where I had left off, very, heavier type rock type things. But then at about the same time, I started to perform again, kind of very much on my own, at open mics and things of that nature. So it was a lot more myself and an acoustic guitar. And it really changed how I approached songwriting, both because I wanted to, of course, honor the spirit of being able to be loud with an electric guitar and things of that nature, but also be able to write things that would translate to being able to be me, the acoustic guitar, a microphone in a pub or a coffee shop or a bar. So it really did change quite a bit of how I approach songwriting.
Interesting. So you were thinking about the environment that you were going to be playing in.
That's right.
Yeah, and the people who would be listening.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So what kind of music did that produce?
It's the rock heritage is still very, very clear in there. I've never quite learned all of the delicacy with the guitar that perhaps would be appropriate, but it definitely, the chord shapes are a little bit more complicated. They are a little bit more that they chime out, and really a lot of it is to be able to hear the words at the same time. A lot of the lyrics end up being a lot more observational, a lot more introspective, a lot more exploring of concepts, of feelings, of ideas. And then there are other songs which, there's one I'm going to play here today, which is purely kind of how my brain interpreted an overheard conversation once.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you draw your material from a lot of sources.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So besides the one you've mentioned, any other sources that you rely on?
Well, very often I will find that my songwriting usually ends up where I will have an idea of a couplet or a chorus or an idea that I want to capture in a verse somewhere, and I'll write it down somewhere. Lately, it's been on my phone in one of the note-keeping concepts. Similarly, as I am practicing guitar, and I'm going to use that term practice very loosely, where I'm trying things out and just playing around with chord shapes, and I'm like, oh wow, that sounds interesting. Let me go ahead and I'll get out the camera and I will record myself doing that. And every once in a while, I'll have the discipline to be able to sit down and say, let me look through some of these things and see if in fact there are some things that fit together. That will be maybe about half of my songs. The other half of the songs are just basically it shows up. I can't understand, I can't explain it, I can't understand it, but I will just go ahead and accept it.
Yeah, it sort of flows through you.
Yes.
I mean, that's true of poets too.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but in a sense, your songwriting is poetic.
Yes, absolutely. No, and I have many people that I know, friends who are just absolute poets. This is actually one of the things that I've loved about the open mic scene, particularly in Massachusetts, as I've encountered it over the past 10 years or so. It is such a wonderful combination of, yes, singer-songwriters, yes, bands, but also poets, comedians, and just otherwise just kind of commentators. And to be able to, first of all, enjoy each other's art in a very, very real way, but then also explore, how did you get here? Where did that concept come from? How did you come up with that idea, and how did you develop it? It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience.
So you have learned from others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And others have learned from you.
I will hope.
So, so after college, you continued with the band?
No, sadly enough, the band itself, we stayed very, very, very close friends. We were a three, actually, at one point we were a four-piece. I've gotten back in touch with two of the members, over the past couple of years, and we stay in touch through Facebook and exchange messages. Sadly, unfortunately, our drummer passed during COVID, but
oh no.
But it gave us a little bit of a chance to kind of reconnect to the extent that was possible. But we all moved in different literal geographic directions after that, hundreds of miles from each other. So unfortunately, we were not able to keep together as that band, but we continued to kind of push each other artistically.
So what's your vision for yourself for the future?
So I continue to try and find more ways of getting my songs out to audiences, particularly either through any of the publication channels. It's very, very difficult to try and figure out how to get people to listen to your recorded music anymore, but I'm still trying. And to be able to continue to play for more audiences in different places. I travel a lot for what we refer to jokingly as the day job. the guitar comes with me. So every once in a while, maybe I'll do business meetings during the day.
So
and then I'll
what
find
is
a
your
bar.
day job?
So I work in economic development. So I work with really municipalities and regions kind of across North America to help them to figure out in a changing economic time how to figure out how to let native-born businesses thrive, how to make it so that main streets actually remain active and vibrant, how to attract new investment into the community, how to create new jobs.
So you have a fun job, demanding job, and how does the music play into that?
Well, it's actually for me a fantastic way of learning a lot of these communities that I get to go and visit for work. So, for example, I'll bring that guitar with me to places like Indianapolis, or to southern New Jersey, or to North Carolina, or to I've actually we got a nice little musical community in Edmonton, Alberta, of all places, just
Really?
because of bringing the guitar along. So it's a fantastic way to get to meet people, to be able to play along with fellow artists and musicians, but then also to be able to get to know that place in a completely different way.
Yeah. And also, it's a wonderful way to communicate with people.
Absolutely.
Opening people up where they might not be willing to express themselves, but the music is relaxing and helps them to open up. So, did you ever think about selling any of your songs to famous singers and musicians?
It's interesting because it couples to what you were just asking before. What is the vision? We had a little bit of an exercise that I had with a couple of other songwriter friends of mine on I guess it was Monday night. We were all kind of exchanging a little bit of what our 5-year goals would look like. I was saying I would love to do more things where, in fact, I could play with the band again, where I could make it so that my songs were more available to people who would really appreciate the stories that they were hearing. But one of the things that I actually have seen, I've done this for one of my fellow songwriters, is I went into an open mic one night and I sang one of my friend's songs. He was not expecting it. And I was like maybe 2 or 3 bars in, and he's just like, wait a minute. And I'd love to be able to hear somebody else cover one of my songs. It doesn't have to be anybody famous, but
No.
if it's a song that speaks to somebody, if it's a song that says something that they would also like to say, I would love to be able to.
So
hear the
do you
truth of
have
it.
a website where all of your songs and the words are all listed?
Absolutely. So there is a website, chrissteeleband.com, CHRISSTEELE where links to all of the music is up there, as well as I keep a blog that basically I keep writing as I am doing songwriting, as I am performing, and really as where you can get both the lyrics as well as my thoughts on songwriting as we go.
Okay, sounds like a wonderful way, but I think you should look into maybe copywriting.
Everything is copyrighted and
good.
everything is published.
Okay, so we now have run out of time for the interview, but we are now going to hear some wonderful music. And Chris Steele, thank you so much for being my
Priscilla,
guest.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure also. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here with me. I'm going to play 3 songs for you. The first song is one that was written, very early in 2021. It was still COVID, and my partner and I were on our way down to donate blood, and as I looked to her, I was just saying to myself, I'm not well. And while we were waiting to donate blood, pretty much this song came together. This is I Am Not Well.
How are you? You look great today, they say. Okay, well, you look great too. I guess it's hard to say from so far away, but what can you do? Word on the streets of poison tree to haunt my wounded soul. I must repeat my daily of getting through it all. But I'm a mess of deep regret and fear you'll catch it if you get too near. But for all the things I try to soothe, I'll tell the truth. I am not well, I have fallen down, waiting for the better times come around. I am not well, I am down a hole. Can't make me a sound, can't make me whole. Didn't choose to be this way, I want to heal, but I don't know how. Is there room in your life for me? 'Cause there is space in mine right now. The night is dark, my light is dim, fear is real and hard to resist. I'm sorry for my mirthless grin, life's too short to be like this. So listen to my truthless rhyme as I fret and try and pass the time. But for all the things I try to soothe, I'll tell the truth. You know, things should be like this. Gotta miss a simple treat, walking on and seeing friends along the street. Things should be like this, the warm embrace of kindred hearts, instead of stumbling on alone in fits and starts. Things should be like this. Things should be like this. How are you? You look tired today, they say. Okay, thanks for that. I guess it's hard to stay bright and shining all day with where everything's at. I am not well, I'm falling down, waiting for the better times come around. I am not well, I'm down a hole. Can't make me sound, can't make me whole. I am not well, I am not well, I am not well. Can't make me sound, can't make me whole.
Next song I would like to play for you was written on or about a fairly, well, one of those round number birthdays. And just thinking as you get to those round number birthdays, as a rocker in particular, it's like, well, okay, what does this mean? And this was my own attempt to basically say, well, it's absolutely means nothing. This is damaged goods.
Maybe I've flown too many miles above the clouds. Maybe I've known too many loves. For all I know, there's someone trying to save me there from up above. Maybe I've got too many loads upon my back to ever want to walk upright. Too many scars upon my soul to feel that everything's alright. Alright. I still think there'll come a time from memory space or some forgotten rhyme. With all the storms that I've let it fall apart. I still think there'll come a time, and I know that we'll see the signs. I've explained, you understood. I still don't think that I'm damaged goods. All of my music is just rust glued to plastic. All of my dreams are just missing the night. I don't know how to find the fantastic. I don't know how to make all of this alright, alright. And I still think there'll come a time, and I know that we'll see the signs. I've explained, you've understood. I still don't think that I'm damaged goods. No, not damaged goods.
So I've got one more that I want to play for you here, and this is, as I was mentioning in the interview, I end up being on the road a lot. And there is no better way of actually being able to get a view of the human condition than being in a hotel bar. And just kind of listening to the things that are going on around you. So there was one night in the Marriott Courtyard in Edmonton, right there on Jasper Ave, and just watching the hockey game as you do while you're there in Edmonton. And somehow the word Irish cream came in because somebody was going ahead and ordering something, and somehow my brain then went to Vaseline. I don't know why. But then all of a sudden, the rest of this song kind of came together. And it was, as I was realizing it, little bits of conversation that I'd overheard at the bar, and then other things that just kind of like filled in the empty spaces. I paid my bill very quickly, went upstairs, grabbed this guitar, and this song came. This is actually the song that I close pretty much all of my sets with, and it's one of them that I do get people to sing along with after they've heard it a couple of times. This is All's Well That Ends.
Don't know how I'm 40 hours away. Don't care why my bed's half a world away. She tells me with a voice like Vaseline. Out on the bar, drinking Irish cream. Maybe it's not my bed no more, I don't know. It's nice of you to listen as to why I had to go, but I never asked a question or even said my name. Just sat there in silence, a friend all the same, and she said, all's well that ends. A simple truth for lovers and for friends. And I may lie to you and say we'll meet again, but all's well that ends. Shot comes after shot, bottle after next. Never quite gone, but never breaking for a rest. She tells me of her story, how she left that place, how she ghosted from her life and left without a trace. Yeah, but distance is a cultist, and time can heal most wounds. And if you didn't notice, I am working on it too. These traps we set upon us, and why I still feel blue. But I stop and smell the roses and fall in love like I still do. Well, reflections of the fairy lights shine on the bottle roll. It's getting late, I said. I guess I ought to go. She didn't make a motion to encourage or object, but sat there in silence, longing to connect. Just one more, she whispered, then I'll head upstairs. Then she looked right at me and caught me unawares. Looked me in the eye, looked right through my soul, as the last call bell began to toll. All's well that ends. Simple truth for lovers and for friends. And I may lie to you and say we'll meet again, but all's well that ends. All's well that ends. Simple truth for lovers, yeah, for lovers and for friends. And I may lie to you and say we'll be together again, but all's well that ends. Thanks so much.